stream. Tottenham 2, Manchester United 0. The first time we have beaten Manchester United in the Premier League since that big 6-1 victory. Was it 3 years ago now? Maybe even 4.
Yeah, 2020.
2020, yeah, so 3 years ago now. So, I mean, it was a great day, momentous occasion at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. The Spurs fans were in absolute full voice. And you know what? I didn't even drink yesterday, and I feel like hungover.
Just the emotional energy we've been putting into yesterday. I mean, everything was like perfect. It was just so exciting. The fans were absolutely buzzing. It was just a brilliant day all round.
Yeah, no, it really was. And look, we'll get into it. We'll get into it now. There were some amazing things that we saw on that football pitch yesterday. There were some bad things as well. But I guess let's start off with the first half. Actually, let's start off with just going into the stadium and the atmosphere. I mean, you went in there and straight away the concourses were absolutely packed. The fans were in full voice. But when you actually got into that stadium with the drum and when the players were coming out, you could just tell like something big was going to happen today. And something big did happen yesterday because it was the first time in a while that the Spurs fans at that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium have got 100% behind the team. No inch of negativity whatsoever. And I think that is borderline, if not the best atmosphere that we've witnessed in that stadium.
Yeah, I mean, there was a buzz around the place immediately as soon as you walked in. I think everyone is just so excited for the new manager, what he's bringing. I think everyone's kind of got on board with what he's trying to do, and also, you know, the stuff he says in the media and how he approaches situations, I think has been absolutely spot on. And I think all the fans right now are just absolutely buzzing for the Ange era, basically. And I think it's not just what he says, it's the football we're seeing even in pre-season. Like it's weird, like in pre-season, if you just look at the results, like in isolation, like, you know, losing 4-2, 3-2, people like, you might argue like, oh, didn't have the best results, but like everyone was just buzzing from the football we were seeing and how good we were playing and how good like Ange has basically got us to a level already. And then all of a sudden in the Premier League, and again, Brentford wasn't the best result, but you could see what he's trying to do on the pitch. And I think that's the most crucial thing. The fans are seeing big changes to the club that we've needed for a long, long time. And I think it was a fantastic welcome for Ange Postecoglou. Before the game, he came out and clapped the fans as well. But before kickoff, that tifo was brilliant as well. Welcome to N17. That was fantastic. The fans were in full voice, and I think there is a real sense of excitement right now. I can't remember ever in my lifetime a manager who's been taken so quickly to by the fans and so quickly has looked for positive change. Even like Pochettino, when he first came in, it took him about a year, I would say, for everyone to fully get on board with him. It took a while, but it seems right now there's so much excitement, and we can see what's happening on the pitch as well, how we're playing. I think I'm really hoping it's the start of a really exciting era now for Tottenham.
This ain't no new false dawn, is it, Tim? It seems like something special is happening at this football club as well. When you're looking at the playing staff, I mean, we've got such a young team now. It's not even just over the last couple of years, everyone's been saying, oh, the team is aging. It's the same players that have been here year in, year out. But you look at that team that played yesterday. I mean, Vicario, new signing. Udogie, new signing. Van de Ven, new signing. Pedro Porro came in last year. Romero, he's one of the longest serving players in that team yesterday. Pape Matar, pretty much a new signing, only played a bit part role last year. Bissouma, I mean, oh, what a player he is. And then you've got the likes of Maddison, new signing. Heung-min Son, obviously, he's been here for a while. And Decky and Richarlison, who also haven't been here for that long. So you're looking at the team now, and it really is a refreshed and re-energized team.
Yeah, it's not even about new signings. It's the age of those players. They're all a lot of them are very, very young players. And it's really, I think it brings new energy to the team and brings more excitement as well. And I think it was interesting what I heard Ange say yesterday after the game when he was talking about Maddison. And he said Maddison has come with no baggage, with fresh eyes, and this kind of new kind of responsibility for himself. But I thought the weird thing he said was no baggage, which maybe he was implying there's a lot of players who have been here too long and who've kind of been ingrained in this team, and maybe it's gone a bit stale. And the fact that Maddison's come in with like these fresh eyes, was like excitable kind of like energy coming into the team for something new. And I thought that term "no baggage" was quite interesting, and I think for a lot of that team, that is what it is. And I think that's what we need, because I don't think it's helped at all the fact that a lot of the players who've been here, and we've had a lot of like failure, near misses and stuff, and And I think that's seeped into the squad a lot over the last few years. And I think we know that Conte was saying how the squad last season, they didn't want to play under pressure and all that kind of stuff. But now we're going a new set of players, a younger set of players, new energy. And I think that term, less baggage, is very, very crucial term.
Yeah, I agree. But, let's get into the game. First half, after all that excitement and all that energy being put in just before kickoff, the team didn't come out as maybe we expected them to come out. Manchester United were well on top, especially for that opening, I would say 25, half an hour. I mean, at times in those opening half an hour, for the majority of it, we just couldn't get out of our own half. Man United had kind of pinned us in. We couldn't find the quality to work around them or get around it. But what was it about? I mean, because it happened not to that same extent, but the first half against Brentford as well, we weren't anywhere near as good as we were in the second half of that game. So what is it with this Spurs team? Not even this season, but last season under Conte, we noticed it quite often as well. Why can't we start games well? And why do we have to wait until the second half before really imposing ourselves?
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on why exactly that is. I think if the managers knew, I mean, it would be a lot easier to change. I think it's one of those things where I can't really. I mean, last season it was a different kettle of fish. I think this season, I think you just got to put it down to more teething problems with Ange. I think young players, when you start the game, maybe they're not doing the right things. Then he has a word with them at halftime of what he's seen and what the team can improve on. And also, you got to feel your way into the game sometimes. And I felt like that first 25 minutes.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's only been 2 games, but I think. Ange was saying, we started the game maybe with a bit of nerves, not enough confidence. And I think that, when you got these young players, and especially when the atmosphere is rocking, and obviously the players will feel that support, but they also feel like they need to sense that the fans are maybe not expecting, but they're giving them all the support they can. Now it's on them to kind of perform. And I feel like maybe there was a bit of nerves in the early exchanges, and I think that led to Tottenham not like doing risky things like they were doing maybe at the latter in the first half and in the second half, like playing those risky passes with players who've got men marked and trusting them to deal with that situation, turn out of trouble and things like that. And the only one really I saw doing that was Basuma for a lot of even the early exchanges. I think Man United definitely smelt blood a bit in those early exchanges. They definitely pressed it a bit higher. They were looking to exploit those situations, and I think we definitely got very lucky. They had some really, really big opportunities, especially from Bruno with a header, which he definitely should have put away. Garnacho was causing a bit of problems on the left. You had Rashford, who had one chance running in behind, which Vicario did well to save. So they were definitely putting us under pressure. But to be fair to Tottenham, I felt by the end of the first half, we actually finished the half stronger, and we were starting to get the better team already.
Absolutely. I mean, in those last 5 minutes, I mean, was there a lot of stoppages in the first half? I can't remember. I think it was 4 minutes. Yeah. And we hit the post, we hit the bar. That shot from Pedro Porro, bloody hell, that cannoned off the crossbar, and then it fell to Papasar, and it was like deflected onto the post. But in that moment in the game, you really saw maybe the shift was starting to turn, or the tide was starting to turn, and the second half was a completely different story. But look, if you bring on the phone for a second, you see the progress bar. I mean, that pretty much tells the story of the first half, where Man United have the majority of it for the first 30, 40 minutes. And then we came on really strong in the latter stage of that first half. And you know what? Vicario, man, I've had my words to say about Vicario. And I said last night on the fan show, I issued the apology for Vicario. I wasn't familiar with his game. He stood up for us in the moments we exactly needed him to stand up for us yesterday. In the hardest moments in the game, when Man United were really on top, where they had gilt-edged chances, where they really should have scored. I mean, some of the saves he was making yesterday, fingertips, world-class saves. And I said to you last week about some of the actions that he does reminds me of Gomez. Yeah, Some of those fingertip saves are the saves that Gomez used to make. Do you remember in that Arsenal game with the Van Persie free kick? Fingertips, but you just don't expect them to make those saves. I think Vicario was very much like that yesterday.
And he seemed a lot more comfortable and confident. Maybe the first game there were a bit of nerves, and there were a few times where, especially when he was coming out from his goal, there was a few times he looked a bit nervy. But I thought yesterday was very different. I thought he was a bit more commanding, a lot more assured of himself, and he made big saves at big moments. Which, if we would have conceded in those moments, it would have been a very, very different game. And I have to say that I was really happy for him. His first game in front of the Tottenham fans as well, to put in a big performance like that, it's only going to help him build that confidence as well. So I thought some of the saves he made were outstanding. He made some really outstanding saves, which were offside as well, but also brilliant fingertip saves. And I got to say, I'm absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's move on to the second half, though, because that is when the real party started to happen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. We came out like men on a mission in that second half. Pape Matar did not let anything past him. I mean, how many times in the game yesterday did Man U threaten with breakaways on their left or their right-hand side? How many times did they threaten? And Pape Matar was just over there like a flash with a sliding tackle to put the ball out of play. I mean, this guy, not only was he doing such great work for us defensively, he was getting up there in amongst it, had a shot in the first half, hit the post in the first half, got that goal as well. I mean, this guy put in the best performance we've ever seen from him by some way.
Yeah, and he was a proper box-to-box midfielder. I think he really showed his ability up in both ends. And we know he's got that energy to cover lots of ground and make good tackles. We've seen that under Antonio Conte. He's got a very good passing range. But we saw definitely a different side to him yesterday. His ability to break into the box, his ability to really be a threat when it gets into the box with his finishing ability. Obviously, he got the goal, but that was reward for some really good work going forward, all those runs going forward. Sorry.
Sim had a heavy one yesterday.
Apologies. No, but I was really, really impressed with his timing of his runs and his striking ability as well. He's really starting to, his striking ability is starting to really improve, forcing saves out of the goalkeeper. And his timing of his runs are really starting to we're starting to benefit a lot from them. And obviously he got that goal, arriving right place, right time. But he nearly did it a couple of times, or even before that, forcing Onana into a few saves. So we know that he's got those qualities off the ball, but what I'm really excited about is him potentially becoming that all-round box-to-box midfielder that we bought him for. And I think he really showed up, Ollie Skip, from his first game about his not just the quality off the ball, but on the ball as well. And that's why I mainly criticised Skip for that first game. Didn't really impact the game when he was picking the ball up, but Pape Matar was levels yesterday, and he showed that ability offensively, that he's actually able to contribute, not just off the ball, but have quality on the ball as well.
Yeah, and you know, everyone's going Romeo Lavia this and all these young midfielders in the Premier League, last season anyway. But no one mentions Pape Matar, and I think he's got attributes to go very, very far. I think he's got a very high ceiling if he keeps going in this trajectory. I really believe that. He won 3 of his 4 ground duels yesterday. One of his only aerial duel, hit the woodwork once. He had 1 block shot, 2 on target, 2 off target, 2 accurate long balls out of the 2 he played. 86.1% accurate passes as well from his 31 played. So I mean, it was an exceptional performance from Pape Matar, and he was my man the match yesterday. Which I mean, it was between 2, him or Bissouma, in my opinion. But I would have given it to him.
I just shaved it for Bissouma, but you have to say, Sarr as well, you got to remember, it's his first start in the Premier League in a new role like that under Ange, and he's still so young. I think, he's still only 20 years of age, Pape Matar. So, and he hasn't played as much football as we would have liked since we signed him, but I thought to come in like that and put a performance at home to Man United against some really good centre mids. And I think as well, especially in that second half, when we're really dominated possession and pressing and hounding Man United, and they did have those odd counter-attacks where they were looking dangerous, and he was able to stop that source. It was just an exceptional display. It's so exciting considering how young he is and what potentially in the future, like hopefully he only gets better and better. And I really believe, look, we signed this guy as a wonder kid, and then it's been a couple years, and he's had some good displays, but obviously we haven't seen him as many times as we would like. But yesterday was, I'm hoping, a start of like, this guy's going to have a big season, hopefully.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with the emergence of Pape Matar, does that reduce our need maybe to bring in a midfielder from now until the end of the window?
Yeah, potentially, because there was always those rumours, we're going to loan him out. Is he definitely going to be part of our plans this season? Is he definitely going to be a consistent starter? But if yesterday was anything to go by, I don't see any need to look for, if a midfielder, if we're going to be relying on him consistently. Yeah. I think he could have a very big part to play. Obviously, he's a young player, so you've got to be wary that there could be some inconsistencies at that age. You got to say a lot of the time form can be up and down for young players. But Sarr just seems to have a really good mentality, and I think every time we've seen him, like very rarely does he put in a really bad display. He seems to have a very good level of a baseline performance, and I think if yesterday's are going to be his highs, like it's well worth keeping him around, in my opinion.
I totally agree. And that goal came 4 minutes after the restart of the second half, and it was payoff for the big effort that they put in from the back end of that first half. And we were just relentless after that. We were just coming forward. Probably should have got more goals quicker, to be honest. But I mean, it was such a great watch. The fans were reciprocating from the stands as well. Who else stood out for you really yesterday?
Yeah, obviously Yves Bissouma. I have to talk about him. Can't talk about this game without talking about how amazing he was again. Look at that
heat map as well from Yves Bissouma.
Just absolutely
all over the pitch.
Covered so much ground, stopped so many Man United attacks. In the first half as well, even in Man United's best spell, he was really performing well. Like, he was the only Tottenham player really stepping up and being confident on the ball. He seems to just have amazing vision and awareness as to an appreciation for where the Man United players are and where he can turn, where the space is, where he can drive into. And what I was really impressed with more than anything yesterday was not just that, but when his ability when he got into the final third, when he was actually getting near the Man United penalty box, didn't panic, didn't just waste possession, was actually able to find little passes in the penalty area to set up opportunities, finds Udogi in certain spaces, finding Sarr, being really strong on the edge of the box as well, keeping the ball when it seems impossible that the ball was going to be retained in certain situations. How he wriggled out of situations in really tight spaces was amazing. And then he's got, not only does he have that, he's got amazing skills. That amazing nutmeg on Casemiro to set up Udogi was absolutely outstanding. That was something that Neymar would do. You know what I mean? That's like an incredible piece of skill. And then he's like taking some decent shots from the edge of the box who went just wide as well, showing that kind of ability. And then his passing ability as well. Like, he's making some really incisive key passes, not just simple sideways and backwards passes, but actually progressive, incisive, creative passes as well. So like, he seems to really be showing off his all-round game. And I felt like even at Brighton, obviously he was phenomenal at Brighton, but he was very much a player who rarely entered the final third. But what we're seeing yesterday is a potential player who not only can keep things simple and could be very, very effective in that middle third, but once he gets into that final third as well, he's not going to just be making up the numbers, and it can actually provide the difference. And that was so impressive from Bissouma. And he marries that with what he always gives, which is amazing discipline and strength and aggression off the ball as well. And I think he covers so much ground. He's so tough to beat as well. He's very hard to dribble past when you're trying to take him on. And I just thought it was another phenomenal display from Yves Bissouma.
What can't this guy do? I mean, he put in a performance yesterday, and even in the first game of the season, that Declan Rice and Moses Caicedo can only dream of putting in. And I genuinely believe that. I think them as just footballers in themselves, I think Yves Bissouma is a better footballer than Declan Rice. He is, and I think that's the fact of the matter. And once he starts adding assists and goals to his game, he's going to be absolutely unstoppable. He really is.
If we didn't get him for 25 million, he'll probably be a £100 million player this summer. 100%. That's the reality.
100%. And in terms of Yves Bissouma's stats yesterday, 88% accurate passes out of 45, 2 long balls completed out of 3, 1 dribble attempts out of 2, 9 ground duels, 1 out of 15, 100% aerials out of 1. And block shots 1, interceptions 1, tackles 5. I mean, it was an unbelievable display from Yves Bissouma. The guy seems to have like eyes at the back of his head. There was one moment when he was just in our own box. He had his face to goal. He had Man United players all around him, apart from to his back, where he had no chance to see who was behind him. And suddenly he just does a 360, turns around and goes, see you later. It was unbelievable.
And he really showed up Casemiro, I felt, as well. I thought Casemiro really struggled to impact the game the same way Bissouma did. Like when Casemiro was on the ball, he could only dream of doing some of the things Bissouma was capable of doing yesterday. I know Casemiro has been one of the best defensive midfielders in Europe for many, many years, and I still rate him very highly. But on the ball, like in terms of dribbling ability and able to take people on, like Bissouma was just in a different league, and he just bossed it so well. Mount had absolutely nothing. Bruno had a bit of joy in the first half, but second half he was completely hounded out. I just thought Bissouma completely bossed it yet again, and completely, in my book, completely deserved his second man of the match in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. The second goal comes. The second goal came quite late in the game, 83rd minute. I mean, I was quite shocked, to be honest, how we didn't score before then, because we were just so on top. We had Man United absolutely rattled. We pretty much came out in that second half and just blew them away. Yeah, they could not handle us whatsoever.
yeah, we had them on the ropes for a lot of that second half. And what I really loved about that second half was is actually, a lot of people saying like, I've said this before, like, oh, we want to get back to like where we were under Pochettino, but this is actually very different football to how, in terms of how we approached the game than we did under Pochettino. Everyone associates the Pochettino era of like beautiful football, and it was, but a lot of his game, the main strength of the Pochettino tactics was his high pressing system, ability to force mistakes out of the opposition, win the ball higher up the pitch, and then very quickly make some quick combinations and be an on goal. But what I loved about the Postecoglou way of playing is it's very patient. It's a lot of passing and moving, but when you get it right, when those passes are in full flow, that possession game is absolutely phenomenal. And we saw that again with the second goal. The move for that second goal was absolutely phenomenal. Everyone knew where each other, the appreciation for where each other's were on the pitch, and I thought the interchanges between Maddison, Son to Perisic to Davis, who makes the run inside, and then his finish, which obviously forced the own goal. What I love about Postecoglou's way of playing is his teams in possession are absolutely amazing. The way they just manipulate the game, and it's honestly, it's going to be up there. I think once we get going in full flight, I really believe the possession game is going to be up there with some of the best in the league in how we handle in possession. And we didn't create chances through like hounding them off the ball, although we did that quite well. It wasn't, our main strength wasn't just pressing them into oblivion and trying to force mistakes. Our main game was having the ball at our feet, passing around Man United, opening up the space and really exploiting those runs in the box. And that was so beautiful to watch. And some of the moves we were putting together, there was the one where when Basuma did the nutmeg into Udogie, passed it into Son, who ran past a couple of players, and unfortunately his shot was blocked. That would have been an absolute phenomenal team move, another phenomenal goal. And we were doing that time after time in that second half. And we weren't just opening them up by like being aggressive, which we were, but we were opening up beautiful passages of play and beautiful football. And that was just an absolute delight to watch. And when we're in full flight like that, it's just so exciting and such a joy to watch. And that's what I loved about that second half.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, And you're looking at it now. It's only the second game, the second competitive game under Ange Postecoglou, and it seems as though the whole club has been completely refreshed, from the fan base to the players. I mean, the players are playing with a smile on them. As Kulusevski said yesterday, it's nice not to be playing wing back anymore and all this kind of stuff. I don't need to do too much defending. I can just stay high up the pitch and do what I need to do. I mean, everyone just seems to be just have a smile on their face. I mean, I was smiling the whole way through the game yesterday, just watching what was coming out in front of me on the pitch. I mean, every time Bissouma had the ball yesterday, I mean, my smile just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it reminds me of the kind of mentality I had, or the kind of feeling I had watching that Pochettino team. I know what you're saying, that it was much of a different footballing style, but the kind of feelings it gives you inside is very similar.
100%. And I think the excitement is back. And you could see that in the crowd yesterday. I think it was a very good start to having the drummer back as well. I thought it really helped sustain the atmosphere, especially in that second half. Just having that constant beat, where getting the fans going as well. I thought it was you got to give credit where credit's due, where we've brought that initiative, and I'm just loving what I'm seeing at the moment. I'm just absolutely excited. I can't wait to see more of it. I'm excited for every game now, and that was even before, even in pre-season. I think we were getting that feeling, but I think it's now hit home, that first home game, how everyone on board, and how in the right direction, like how far we're going. I think, and obviously we haven't gone that far, it's only been 2 games, but you can really see the direction we're heading in under this manager, and I'm just so excited for every game. I think one other player we should mention is Pedro Porro, who's coming for a lot of criticism. A lot of people were very worried seeing him in the starting lineup instead of Emerson Royale, but I thought he did absolutely brilliantly at right back. I thought defensively he had a very, very strong game, and I think offensively he provided what we all hoped he would in terms of his ability passing wise. He had a shot which hit the bar from the edge of the box as well.
What an effort that was!
Brilliant effort from him, and I think if this is anything to go by, I think he can play this right back role.
Yeah, I agree, to be honest. And I, in the match, in the previews to the season, I was saying he was a player that could potentially struggle this year, but he seems to be really buying into into what Ange wants to do. I think defensively he was spot on yesterday. I mean, look, I wouldn't say spot on because I think in the early stages, like the whole team, he was struggling a little bit and there were some nerves creeping in there from Pedro Porro, but he was one, like the rest of the team, that just grew and grew and grew as the game went on. And in terms of the stats, 81% accurate passes out of 35, 1 cross out of 2, 3 long balls out of 4, 2 ground duels 1 out of 6, 0 aerial duels 1 out of 1. He lost possession 11 at times, but you do expect that from a fullback. And he had 1 shot off target, which was that one that cannoned off the top of the bar. But if that goal goes in, it's an absolute worldie, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we know he has that in him. We've seen his ability to strike a ball, even in his first few 6 months at Spurs. So we know he's capable of that. And I thought it was very interesting. He put Porro in yesterday after Emerson, scored a goal and had quite a good game against Brentford. So I wonder if he put that in because maybe he thinks Porro can offer things that Emerson can't, even if he has those deficiencies defensively, which he didn't show yesterday. If he can overcome them, I think he could be more valuable than Emerson in that position.
Look, it's still very early on, man. He doesn't know, in my opinion, he doesn't know who the best team is just yet. How can you, with only 2 games gone? So I think there's still a lot of trying and testing to do before he really gets to grips with exactly that first 11 he wants to go with. So I'm happy for everyone to keep getting their chances until Ange really learns a lot more about these players. And I think Pedro Porro definitely shone yesterday, in my opinion.
And I think as well, Son had a better performance.
Yeah.
Son on the left-hand side, I've had my doubts about whether he can do that left wing role. And to be fair, I still don't think it was perfect. But in terms of like how he does that creative role from the left wing, and actually his ability to take on Wan-Bissaka on more than one occasion he was doing that quite effectively. In fact, Wan-Bissaka had to be taken off for Dalot during the game because I thought he was struggling against Heung-min Son.
You said before the game, Heung-min Son won't take on Wan-Bissaka once.
Yeah, and I was wrong. I have to say, I was absolutely wrong. To be fair, I think a lot of the times when Son was getting joy, it was when Wan-Bissaka was caught out of position, and then when like Varane had to come over and try and deal with him, and I think that's where he got most of his joy. But I think Son actually did that creative role really, really well. I think he had the most key passes on the pitch with 4, and I actually think he looked a lot more dangerous than he did, especially against Brentford. So that was really encouraging signs. I'm still not fully there about if this position is completely right for him, but that was definitely a more encouraging sign than the one against Brentford.
Look, all you can ask for is improvements, right? And what we saw from this game to last game, we saw improvements in Heung-min Son, we saw improvements in Dejan Kulusevski, and we saw improvements from Richarlison. So if they keep improving, then I'm not going to have a problem with it. Definitely. And I think Heung-min Son had a very good performance yesterday. 3 successful dribbles out of 5, 6 ground duels 1 out of 8 from Heung-min Son yesterday.
Wow.
That is unbelievable work rate from him. So he showed that leadership ability yesterday as well, Heung-min Son.
And also, I thought he looked really good when he went centrally. I actually thought he improved when he went centrally. I thought he looked a lot better. And he was actually able to link the play a lot more effectively than Richarlison was when he was centrally. Like, there was passes fired into Son, I felt, when he had his defender on his back, and he was able to get a layoff and a pass off to a teammate a lot quicker and more accurately than Richarlison did. I still didn't really affect the game in terms of trying to score, but I actually thought centrally, in terms of like being that central figure, he looked a lot more comfortable there when he moved into that position.
And I guess we need to touch on the midfield maestro, James Maddison. What a player we have on our hands here. I mean, everything good going forward all goes through him. He is like the hub of the team, like we used to talk about Christian Eriksen. He does the exact same role. But I think what Maddison does better than Christian Eriksen is his dribbling ability. Because, I mean, they just can't seem to get the ball off him. There was one moment he picked up the ball inside our own area and you're just like, oh God, where's James Maddison going to go from here? And he just takes it around their whole team,
literally. And when you're outpacing players like Casemiro and wriggling past them, and he went past Anthony a few times like he wasn't even there. He was a delight to watch. And in terms of like a dribbler in that number 10 position, we haven't had that. Like Eriksen couldn't dribble like that, like Maddison can, which is a phenomenal asset. And we know when he gets into the final third as well, he's got that eye for a pass and that eye for a shot, which is as good as any number 10 you can find in the league. But I think what sets him apart from a lot of the other midfielders in that position is his ability to carry the ball like that, and his awareness to carry the ball into space and not lose the ball in silly positions. And I think he's one of the best dribblers for that position that there is in the league. And I think he showed that again. I think his game awareness was brilliant when he was picking the ball up on the left-hand side in the penalty area, causing trouble for Man United. I thought it was a thorn in their side for a lot of that game. They struggled to deal with him. They struggled to really pick him up. And again, Casemiro just couldn't keep him quiet.
Yeah. Absolutely. What did you make out of Destiny Udogie yesterday? I thought another really strong performance yesterday. Defensively impenetrable, going forward. You know, he was getting himself in the box. He was putting shots on goal. I mean, another really good display for him for only his second game in the Premier League.
Yeah, he keeps getting better and better, doesn't he? Destiny. Another brilliant display from him. I actually thought the one moment maybe he got caught out was when Anthony hit the post. He was probably caught upfield, out of position. But apart from that, again, he does that inverted role so well, but he was able, he nearly scored a goal. He was getting into the penalty area, he was getting to the byline, creating chances. He's so strong off the ball as well. I thought Anthony, again, I said before the game I thought Anthony was going to really struggle against him, and I thought he did, apart from that one moment where he did hit the post. I think he just keeps getting better and better, Destiny Udogie, and I thought it was another really strong display from him. Again, it's still so young, and you just get the feel like he's only going to get better and better as well.
All right, well, look, an absolutely unbelievable day at the top.
Go through the whole team.
Exactly. Well, player ratings is coming, guys. Don't you worry. Look, it was an absolutely unbelievable day at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. I couldn't have pictured it to go pretty much any better than it did, from the stands to what we saw on the football pitch. First win against Manchester United in a long time, and I am just buzzing to see what this season can bring for us.
And after the game as well, comment on like the atmosphere after the game at the final whistle was like a party. It
felt like the last day of the season.
It was like, yeah, honestly, yesterday it was brilliant. The players coming over. You saw actually Basuma even before the final whistle was trying to G up the crowd, getting ready for like
Romero did as well.
Romero, so the players were really getting involved with the fans, that interaction, which is really great to see. Not just like treating us just like we're customers, but like actually appreciating that support and feeding off it and actually giving something back as well. And then obviously all the players came over to the South Stand after the game and clapped the fans. And obviously Big Ange, I think, did he clap all the stands? Oh, and he obviously came over to the South.
I think he came over to the South. I'm not sure if he went around the whole stadium.
Yeah, but that was a really nice moment. Him, like, we were singing the Postecoglou song to him, and he was like clapping the fans with appreciation. He was like also geeing up, like he wants to hear it louder, and that was and the music was blaring. Everyone was bouncing up and down. It was like a party. It was like a clubbing party at the end of that game for 20 minutes. It was absolutely fantastic, and reminds me of like the early days of like when Klopp was at Liverpool, when like he used to like make a big effort to like go over to the fans and like do that celebration, and all the players would go after a big win to the fans. He's made sure that they felt appreciated after games properly, and hopefully Ange can instill that same kind of relationship that Klopp has with the Liverpool fan base, and it seems he's heading in that direction.
Look, I said to you after the Brentford game, you're really starting to feel the sense of Ange and the players are trying to bring the fans and the club closer together. And I'm sure you must have felt that yesterday, because it's exactly what's happening.
100%.
So great stuff all round. That is our match review from the 2-0 win against Manchester United yesterday.